Hey babes, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brandy. I am the host of the Be Real Babe show, and today, you guys, it's time to keep up with Canada, and I have 3 different news stories for you. I don't think I've necessarily talked about these topics that I'm going to talk about today. They're a little bit, I guess so. So one topic is going to be about drug delivery going through Canada Post and how it's pretty much like the Amazon of drug dealing here in Canada. The second story is going to be about a Calgary restaurant that got in trouble for misusing the temporary foreign worker program. And then the last story is about the Ottawa Senators and the Barbara Streisand effect that they have caused with a recent post that actually brought me to the attention of it. And now I want to talk about it because I'm sorry, this is your own fault. You maybe shouldn't have said anything. Just kidding. But if you're interested in listening to those stories, stick around and we'll jump right in. Okay, babes, as mentioned, 3 different stories, 3 different topics, no murder, no intense crime. There's some abuse going on here for sure, but lately it just seems like I'm reporting on a lot of really, really, really terrible crimes. So these ones, although they're not light and I'm not downplaying these situations, just seem a little bit more lighter. And this one, the very first one I'm going to talk about, kind of makes me laugh a little bit because people have been sending drugs through Canada Post for a very long time. So, and I know people are really sneaky with it. And now it is definitely legal. So that's probably making it even harder to know what is legally being sent through and what is not. But that's going to be the first conversation. But before we jump into the stories too, though, I just want to let you guys know this is the second to last week I will be posting Keeping Up with Canada segment for a couple months. In the break, I'm going to be posting the season 10 of the Be Real Babe podcast, where this show originated from. All the different interviews and the fun that I had in season 10 will be coming here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will be posting new episodes that were on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will be posting episodes from the podcast for the next 2 months while I take a break, reset. I'm going to redo my studio, learn a little bit more, revamp the whole setup, everything. For those that don't know, I have been podcasting for 5 years now. I'm on season 11 on the podcast, and I have been doing 3 shows every single week for the last year. So I'm taking a very long break. Usually I take a month, but unfortunately that's not much time if you want to get yourself ahead on content creating and all that kind of stuff. So generally I end a season, I have like a week or 2, and then I jump right back in. So this time I'm going to take 2 months off. So this episode Monday and next Monday is going to be the last one for a couple months, but there is almost a whole year's worth of topics that I've talked about for Canada, as well as internet insanities on Wednesday, random topics that I find on the internet that are insane. So there's tons of content there. I have season 9 uploaded to YouTube. Season 7 is also on this YouTube channel. And then, like I said, season 10 is going to be coming up. And then I'll be back in April with new segments, new setup, new everything. So very excited for that. Hope you guys can understand. Hopefully it's not counterintuitive to be taking a break right now, but as most people know, you usually get sick if you run yourself down and you get burnt out. And I am there doing this as a one lady show. So anyways, I'm gonna shut the fuck up about that, but I just wanted to be honest and clear about that. Thank you if you're here. Thank you if you're new. Thank you if you stick around. But yeah, let's jump into this first story. So the topic, and it was actually came through on Facebook that made me kind of giggle. It was the title. It's like on Amazon, illegal drugs advertised online delivered by Canada Post. So this article is from January 6th. CBC show how fast and easy it is to purchase cocaine with the click of a mouse. It's like Amazon for hard drugs, cocaine, heroin, and ecstasy, paid for with credit cards and e-transfers delivered by Canada Post. For weeks, CBC Ottawa and Radio Canada exchanged messages with a nearly dozen people who have been buying these drugs online. Eventually, one came forward offering to talk about their experience. The first time, I was like, okay, it's not true. It's a scam, John said. CBC has agreed to withhold his real name because he fears the impact of his drug use on his family and his job. I mean, yeah, it's fun. One thing to have fun once in a while, but if you've got a problem with it, I mean, definitely some evaluation there. You do you, though. You go on the website and it's very easy. We started seeing ads offering pure cocaine pop up on Facebook and Instagram with images of white powder. Pretty soon our social media feeds were flooded with them. Isn't this so insane too? Like you look at one thing, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys on Facebook. I'm sure it has, but like there's just this like random ad and you're like, what the fuck? Is this an actual ad? And you're like, oh shit, I don't want anything to do with this. And then you keep being fed with it. That happened to me. And I almost feel like I don't go on Facebook anymore because it was like, I thought it was a real life like video, and it wasn't. It was like a reenactment about it was like a smut book or something like that. And I was like, how the fuck are they're like almost essentially putting porn. Is this porn? And then I got served a bunch of smut book audio on Facebook. Like kids, anyways, It's insane how that happens. And it's insane how you can just say a couple words and your phone picks it up and you're flooded with it. Like sometimes it's convenient when you're actually looking for something, but other times it just feels gross. These narcotics are highly addictive and highly illegal, but the ads reassure potential buyers that the drugs are tested and safely delivered. I mean, if you're going to be doing cocaine, you want it to be safe, right? You can trust people online. For John, it meant a drug he had been addicted to in the past was suddenly within easy reach. My relationship with this drug is love and hate. I had a dream about many things. The cocaine in a certain way destroyed this dream. One of those dreams was to become a cop. John says he had successfully kicked his addiction until he saw the ads on social media. So you have this ad. It looks professional. You go on the website and it's very easy. It's like Amazon. You have many drugs and you have cocaine, he said. I was like, it's unbelievable to see this on social media. I opened the package and I was like, okay, it's real. It's the real stuff. It's real cocaine. But like, how do you know though? Like just because you can buy it online and it was easy and they say it's tested, like how do you know? You don't. So you're still taking a risk no matter what. And this kind of goes to the big conversation that I've had about the BC decriminalization and the safe supply and all that kind of stuff. And the way that we're literally putting crack pipes and needles out there for drug addicts, but can't help diabetics. Anyways, not the topic for today. But the more access to it, just like this guy said, the easier it is for people that with addictions to fall back into it, right? And again, sure, there's always going to be stuff out there. But when it comes to this kind of shit, like, why are we making it easier for people to be deep in their addictions, right? Like everyone should be able to choose for their own. I agree, your body, your choice. However, the general public, in my opinion, shouldn't make things that we know destroy people's lives that easier for them to access because people need help. We've all been through it. I've been an addict for many things. I've talked about this on the podcast several times of the shitty things that I've done and I've got completely clean. So I completely understand. However, when I had access to the things I was using a lot easier, it made it so much easier to just get it. There's a point in your recovery, you'll like, as you're going through it, you're going through addiction, you'll do anything to get what you need, right? But then there's a point in recovery where going to get it, that does put an easier boundary into it, right? It's an easier boundary to work. If it's right there and it's right in front of my face, so much harder, So what are we doing? Despite John's skepticism, as the ads increasingly populated his feed, old habits got the better of him. He clicked on an ad and ordered a few grams of cocaine. Pretty soon, he had Canada Post's tracking number. Days later, he received a message that his package had arrived. I go to the mailbox, I open the package, and I was like, okay, it's real. It's the real stuff. It's real cocaine, he said. Oh, we just went through that. John tried the drug right away and said it felt pure. I don't know if it's 70, 80, or 90%, but I know it's good stuff, he said. His experience matched many of the others whom CBC had interacted with online. The Canadian Centre for Substance Abuse and Addiction warns that cocaine use is very dangerous and can lead to stroke, coma, and in some cases, death. The added danger is that the drug can be tainted with even deadlier substances, fentanyl. And this is my point. Like, unless you're testing it at home, I'm not sure how you know it's safe. Furthermore to this, like, I'm sure there's some way that you could sue these people, but how do you know who they are? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to say that buying it off of a real life drug dealer is so much better, but if you're buying something online, are you going to go to the cop? Like, I'm not saying just make sure you buy cocaine from real people. Don't buy cocaine. It's not good for you. But I also am like, everyone has their own drug. I smoke weed. So but it's, anyway, whatever. I'm just saying it's almost impossible unless you're testing it yourself to know that it's pure. John decided to have his next purchase tested. Hey, there you go. A team from Radio Canada accompanied him to pick up the delivery from Canada Post Community Box, and both Radio Canada and CBC Ottawa were present when the contents were tested at a specialized harm reduction clinic in Quebec. Maud Chouanière, a social worker who conducts testing at the clinic, said an increasingly number of people have been bringing in drugs bought online after seeing ads and platforms on such as Facebook and Instagram. We've known about it for a while, so we thought it was pretty much common knowledge, Chouanière had said. We were surprised at first, but now it's becoming normal. I mean, I wouldn't say half of what we test is purchased online, but I'd say it's a good portion of the drugs that we test. The test looks for potentially deadly additives. John's sample test positive for cocaine, but no fentanyl was detected. CBC spoke to a number of buyers who had left reviews on sites where they purchased drugs. Some said that they were less worried about finding deadly additives in the drugs purchased from online sellers. Others said that they turned to the site because they felt it reduced the chances of getting caught making a drug deal in public. I guess, yeah, but if Canada Post gets word of this more and more and this gets out more, I'm sure there's going to be more things put in place to crack down on this. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm not saying don't do it. And I'm glad that people are getting things tested, and I'm glad that John's stuff was clean. But again, how do you know unless you get it tested? So that's just what I worry about, because bad people do get involved in these things. Bad people like to cause chaos. They like to add things that make you more addictive. My guess is when people are putting fentanyl on things, it's not necessarily to kill people, it's to get people addicted to fentanyl, or on a higher drug, and I'm sure people, again, that they don't know that's in there, take too much and then it kills them. That is a guess. I have no idea. I've never done cocaine in my life. I'm fucking terrified of it. Okay. That's just my personal opinion. I'm terrified of it. It just scares me. I'm super hyper. I do not need, so I smoke weed. I do not need an upper. I am good. Let's continue. CBC Ottawa scrolled through hundreds of ads leading to more than a dozen different websites, all selling illegal drugs. The websites operate openly and their digital infrastructure is anything but. CBC Visual Investigation Unit took an in-depth look at the websites in an attempt to track down their digital footprint and determine their possible locations. They use all the tools, said Ivan Angelovsky, a forensic analyst with the VIU. You can see that they're basically created a wall that an open source researchers and journalists cannot open. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like for the most part, they can get themselves locked in. Now, I'm sure higher levels that can break into things more and have these more knowledges, maybe have more knowledge on this, may be able to obviously break in and do something. But your everyday people are probably going to struggle because, I don't know, some drug dealers are real smart, The websites are sophisticated and hard to track. And I mean, maybe they're not. Like, hold on, let me rephrase that. There's probably really, really smart drug dealers, and then there's probably ones with really good money that pay smart people to do this shit. The websites are sophisticated and hard to track. Their web addresses often change from one day to the next. Their digital information is shielded by high-level privacy tools and coding. It's just remarkable how they rely on this privacy industry. Some of these privacy tools were created to help regular people, not to be tracked by these big internet businesses, but they're using the same systems to basically do criminal work. The digital architecture may be complex, but the websites operate in plain view of anyone online. The drug ads appear on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and are owned by parent company Meta, which makes more than 90% of its profits from advertising. They don't give a fuck, you guys. And this is what I'm saying. Like, kids should not be on these platforms, honestly. And I'm just saying this now, and maybe I'm completely wrong because I don't think it's ever going to go away. But I do believe there's going to be a shift away from a lot of social media platforms because of, it's not just the advertisement, it's the people now that always just use it for business, right? Like, it's going to get, I think some people are just overwhelmed and overstimulated, and this is how these platforms make their money. So they're always going to push it at any level they can. Notice how when Netflix first started, or Prime, or any of those streaming services, there was no commercials and you just paid for the streaming service and that was that. Now you have to pay more to have ad free, right? So it's so crazy. It's like ads will find a way to get in there. Marketing will always find a way to get on there. So myself personally, building my own website, that's just a website where we're going to be able to share information and talk and do all that, where there's not going to be a fuck ton of ads. If you want to pay for the services, there's going to be a tab that you can go and hire services, but every single page won't be jumping out at you telling you to buy something. And I think that's where a lot of the future is going to be held, is in personal websites again, where you could go and have forums like social media that aren't going to bombard you with ads from these bigger platforms because they're just fucking greedy with it. Meta refused an interview with CBC. Instead, a spokesman responded with an email. Content that attempts to buy, sell, or trade illicit drugs is not allowed on our platforms. We have removed the flag ads and pages, disabled the ad accounts, and restricted the account admins from running ads in the future, the spokesman person wrote. Meta says it uses AI and special consultants to flag and stop the ads. Legit Script is one of the companies that specializes in flagging ads that sell illegal content online. And which is so funny that this stuff goes through, because I have been, for those that don't know, my main job is that I work for corporate cannabis, and I have been in the legal cannabis industry since legalization in 2018. 2018. And I was just talking about it on Facebook. I was like, hey, I'm working in the cannabis industry. It's legal. I'm a bud tender, and I would try to share information. And that was where I really first started getting shadow banned about everything on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. I had so many infringements, and I was talking about illicit drug. I got in so much trouble. Like, it was in 2018. So obviously things have changed a lot, but it just blows my mind that these websites exist and that there's like fucking vending machines with crack pipes, but I talk about weed, which also has medicinal purposes to it. and I'm the bad guy. I'll probably get in trouble on this episode for this. Anyways, the scale is absolutely massive in terms of how many advertisements are being placed on these platforms on any given day. I think it's a constant fight because I think it's a game of whack-a-mole. It's a game that can't be fully won, said Legit Script CEO Scott Roth. The Canada Post Corporation Act gives Canada Post the authority to inspect mail other than letters it expects of containing illegal items, including drugs. Canada Post refuses to request for an in-person interview and instead sent an email statement. When our postal inspectors confirm that an item contains an illegal drug, they remove the item from the mail stream and turn it over to the police. In 2024, Canada Post removed 5,662 illegal items from a total of 240 million parcels. CBC also spoke to 6 police officers from different departments with experience in drug investigations. None had heard about these sites operating on the web. They said any investigation would fall within the jurisdiction of the RCMP. What? None had heard about these sites operating on the open web. My brother and Christ, these have been going on for almost a decade. This is far before like weed legalization and decriminalization here in BC. What are you talking about? I know it's been on the dark web for far longer, but it's been in the open web for at least 10 years. This is crazy or a lie. CBC reached out to the RCMP over several weeks. Canada's National Police Force refused our repeated requests for an interview, but spokesperson replied in an email. Through coordinated investigations, advanced cyber tools, and strong partnerships, we are actively targeting individuals and networks profiting from the sale of illicit substances online. During the course of our investigation, the same sites selling illegal drugs on the open internet continued to pop up under different web addresses. After accompanying CBC to the drug testing facility, John decided to have the drugs destroyed. CBC ensured the drugs were properly destroyed. For me, it's what I had to do to really liberate myself from this drug. John says seeing the ads repeatedly on his social media feeds have made it very difficult, and that's part of the reason he decided to come forward. If you have an addiction and you go on social media and you see this every day, and many times every day, it will keep you in this addiction, he said. And that's such a good point. So good for you, John, for coming out, speaking out about it, sharing this experience, and then realizing that if you continue and do this pathway and you use this reasoning to do this drug for your addiction, that's just one step forward towards it again. You know what I mean? But this and stopping this stops you from building that rut and that pathway. That's how I've envisioned it in my head and how I had to envision it to stop doing drugs or any sort of addictions. I have a very addictive personality. This is why I haven't done some of these substances, because I'm aware. For me, I went to pharmaceuticals because pharmaceuticals felt like it was more accepted. I had a doctor that would give me a shit ton of medication and didn't stop me and didn't question me at 16 years old and just kept giving medication. Because I had an addictive personality and I'm a master manipulator, I was able to get what I wanted from several different people and feed my addiction. Now, if I couldn't get that from them, I don't know that I would have taken it to the step of taking it to the street on street drugs. And some people do. That's how their addiction starts. But that's just me. And that I understand that comes from my personal experience. But what I noticed is that when I would use, it was just like this rut. It was just like, I would fight myself on and be like, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm not in pain. And then all of a sudden I'd have like a tinge of headache and I'm like, oh, I'm in pain. I need to take it. Right. So then it's like this divot here of me taking it is so deep that once I fall down it, it's hard to get back out and start making this pathway like it look like it. Think about in a garden and you're digging, right? And this is the path that you're on in your addiction, and you just keep using and using and using and using and using. You know, it's really hard to get out of that hole and start from scratch. That's how I kind of envision it. And every time you say yes to your addiction, whatever it is, you're digging that hole deeper and it's getting harder to get out, right? But you can get out and take it from this hole. And you can start digging over here. Say you climb your way out for a second and you start digging this hole over here. It's like, I'm not going to do it. And every single time you're filling that hole back up and you're getting into this divot and this habit of not using, you know what I mean? That's where my brain goes. So when those tools are there to help you dig deeper into the hole, and instead of trying to climb yourself out and get into the better path that you're wanting to be on, right? Like this is the path in the hole you're going to destruction, and this is the one you're going to not. If you have the tools, you're going to go faster, you're going to go further. You know, if you have less going over on this side, less support, less help to reiterate these habits, these neural pathways of not doing that addiction, in my mind, that's how I vision it. You know, that's where you want to go. That's what the tools we want to provide people. We don't want to be providing these tools. But we've been buying drugs online for a long time, you guys. Not me, but I'm just saying, like, we as a society have been buying drugs for a long time. So You're a little behind on this one. I'm sorry. Oh, this is going to be a long one, guys. I didn't expect it. Okay, let's go to the next one now. This is a topic I'm going to talk about next season for sure. I might even bring this as a podcast because there are a lot of people here in Canada, unfortunately, taking abuse of temporary foreign workers, and it is causing a lot of chaos and a lot of divide and a lot of shit. So let's talk about this next article. It was also published on January 6th. Calgary restaurant owners jailed for financial abuse of temporary foreign workers. Menakanda Kashanathan, Chandra Mohan Marjak, and Mary Roche sentenced to 90 days in jail plus probation. I'm sorry, I'm going to probably butcher every name in this. It's just how I am. I apologize. Three restaurant owners who financially abused their immigrant employees were handed jail terms this week by a Calgary judge. The offenders, Manikandra Kashanathan, Chandra Mohan Marjak, and Mary Roche, were each sentenced to 90-day jail terms to be served on weekends after they were convicted of fraud over $5,000. Kashanathan, Marjak, and Roche, who co-owned Marina Dosa and Tandoori Grill in Calgary, will also be placed on an 18-month probation and must pay back the $44,000 they stole from 3 employees. The sentences follow a piecemeal trial that began in the summer of 2024 and wrapped in May 2025 with the conviction decision by Justice Sarah Ma. The victims, all from India, moved to Calgary between 2017 and 2020 as temporary foreign workers on employee-specific permits to work as cooks at the offender's restaurant. Once here, the victims were told they had to pay $24,000 each for a labor market impact assessment for government fees relating to their immigration to Canada, according to Ma's conviction decision. In reality, under the Temporary Foreign Workers Program, employers were required to pay $1,000 processing fee for an employee assessment documentation. Prosecutor Brady O'Farrell presented evidence that all the men were told that if they did not pay the money, they would be sent back to India. One of the victims, Parthiban Ramalingam, paid the full $24,000 while the other paid $12,000 and $8,000 each. Ma heard that on paydays, Kasanathan drove Ramalingam to his bank to deposit his paycheck. Ramalingam told the court that he would hand over $2,000 in cash to the labor market impact assessment and $400 for rent. Kashnathan would then drive Ramalingam to the restaurant to work. It took Ramalingam about a year of working 6 days a week, 12 to 14-hour days to pay off the $24,000. The victims also lived in the homes of the 3 offenders, paying them rent. The accommodation provided by Kashnathan and Marjak were described by the judge as substandard, with one of the employees living in a bedroom with 2 others. Ma found that the victims were also verbally and physically abused by the accused. Venkateshan Durraraj testified that he would worked in many other countries, but Ma noted this was the first place he felt like a slave and he felt abused. The victims ultimately reported the abuse to authorities. None of the accused had testified in their own defense. Their lawyers argued that their clients did not ask for nor receive any money from the complaints for the labor market impact state assessment, and if any money was paid, it was repayment for expenses such as rent, food, airline tickets, travels, and loans. The judge rejected the defense put forward by lawyers Fazan Butt and Sofian Butt. And I think, you guys, this happens far more than anybody has any ideas on. And that's one thing that I do get a little upset with in the comment sections. And I understand where people are coming from, that at the current time, there is no boundaries on immigration. A fuck ton of fraud is being happened from immigration individuals. People get paid for bringing in immigrants into schools. There is a lot of different avenues here that there is a lot of scamming going on, and a lot of people unfortunately are jumping to blame the immigrants themselves, and I think that is a multitude of problems and a multitude of offenders here, and there's good people that are getting caught in the middle as well. So what I mean by that is that I do believe that there are good people in good positions helping immigrants come here and have a good, beautiful life, and that happens, and that's great. There are also within that bad ones that are making money off of them and taking their vulnerability of wanting to leave whatever country they are coming from for a better life and abuse them by lying to them about how much money they are, paying for them to get them set up here, putting them and people in one small tiny house, very much taking advantage of their vulnerability and their want to move here. That is happening. On the other side, there are bad people that are fraudulently coming into the country and doing bad things while they're here, whether they're criminal, whether they're running shitty operations, whether they're doing the same thing and taking some of the people from their country and abusing them. It's obviously not just Canadians here that are taking advantage. There's also people that have come here that are also trying to bring other people here and make money off of them and exploit them, right? It really doesn't have to do with whether you're Canadian or you're an immigrant. It has to do with what kind of person that you are. What you're going to do, whether you're here living as a Canadian or you're immigrating here. I do not believe that it is immigrants coming here and doing that. And I don't believe it's just Canadians doing it. I believe it goes down to your character and how you were raised and how you grew up, because I don't believe that it's one or the other. And I think people struggle with that. Multiple truths can exist at the same time. Therefore, they do not think that it's one or the other. And then they argue and then they get divisive. And then we have the media and the government not helping fuel this divide and not really helping to understand that it can be more than just one thing, right? And so when we come at it at a more of a nuanced look, we can look at it at individual basis. Is there abuse happening? All across the board. Do we need to fix that? Yes. Is pointing at one demographic or one group of people solving that problem? No. And that's where more divide happens. But they don't want us together and harmonious because they make money off our chaos, whether that's through media and clickbait, whether that's through fear and having to sell us something, whether that's just having us locked into our phones, locked into the TVs, locked into the drama, right? Remember times when we didn't have phones, if you're this old, where this worldly shit was really just when you watch TV. And we can't watch TV all day. We couldn't get that all day. The news wasn't on all day. It was 1 or 2 hours or whatever else we're watching. Now with the internet and our phones, mass amount, right? Mass amount of shit going on there. Mass amount of fighting, divide. We cannot escape it, right? We're being sold and marketed to on every level. So keep in mind those kind of things, right? So anyways, long rant, long episode this time. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Let's go to the last one. So just kind of reiterating the point that when you're on social media and when you're talking to people and we're talking about these topics, having an understanding that it's not just black and white. There's more things, and there's more things that that need to be said that I can even cover in this longer ass YouTube video. There is so much more to this that reacting, fighting with each other and being closed-minded is not going to help going forward. Be open-minded, be understanding that not everybody knows everything, that there's so much information in the world, and that we could just go forward by trying to help educate each other by sharing our lenses and our views and our opinions in a way that's digestible and that we can work through stuff together and have more understanding. That's how we will move forward. But this divisiveness, pointing fingers at certain groups and then just claiming to that is not helpful and really is just NPC behavior, really, because you're really just being surface level. You're not deep diving into any nuance. You're looking at it at a very 2D level when some people out here playing 5D chess, you know what I'm saying? Like, just understand where you're at in that and what are you contributing to. Now let's go to the final one that I said had the Streisand effect. So basically, Barbara Streisand didn't want photographers, they didn't want paparazzi, she didn't want any of those people around her home. She tried to keep it hidden, and because she tried so hard to keep it hidden, it had the opposite effect and everyone knew about it and everyone found at it. This is from my understanding. So it's basically when you have a situation and you're trying to keep it from not blowing up and keeping it private, but you do something that then automatically has the opposite effect and brings all the attention to it. This is what I'm saying. So I think what it was is like Barbara Streisand had said she didn't want anybody, she like publicly said she didn't want anybody to know where she lived. She wished people would stay away from her. And by posting that one tiny thing, changed the trajectory and made all eyes on her, right? So this is one of those things. I'm just cruising through, and you know how Facebook has changed their fucking layout and they're just showing you random shit that you don't know. And then all of a sudden you're getting trapped into other people's stuff and it's not showing you people you know. Crazy. It's like Facebook turned into a For You page on Instagram. That's what it feels like. You're not seeing your other people's feeds. You're seeing random people. And this came up. I don't follow the Ottawa Senators. I'm not a sports girly. I love Olympic sports. I love playoff sports. I think they're so fun. The rest of the seasons, I don't give a shit. And I also feel like people are too into it, right? Like it's kind of a cult in a way. But I do think sports is cool. There's so much we can learn. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. But anyways, I don't follow the Ottawa Senators. And then this post came up that they made a statement. And I tell you, I wouldn't have cared until I read the statement, and then now I looked into it, and now I'm going to spread it because I'm sorry. I think this is a PR lesson, for the Ottawa Senators. The Barbara Streisand effect is a thing. Now I'm not going to fan the flames. I'm not going to talk about the gossip. I'm just going to read this article, and I just kind of want to, haha. It's kind of funny, not funny because this. Okay, apologies. It is not funny because the rumors that are going around of what happened is not good, and it is going to hurt families and all of that. So please let me be clear that I do not think that these things are funny and the situation is funny. I just think it's interesting and funny when these teams or celebrities or whatever pay thousands of dollars for PR teams, or sorry, for PR teams, and then it just has a complete opposite effect. It's just like, what are you doing? Or what are you doing? There's better ways to address things. That's all. It's kind of like the whole Coldplay concert thing where the two people got busted. You know, it's like it almost that part got worse, but because you guys broke off like that and we're like, oh shit, we got busted. That was like the Streisand effect there. Like, I'm not saying that it wouldn't have blown up, but if you would have just acted normal and even like kissed each other and like maybe hid your faces that way, you might not have got caught. But it was the way you reacted that made the Coldplay guys speak about it. You know what I mean? So what is this? What is this? So Ottawa senators condemn trolls and sick people after rumors about players spread online. So this is published January 9th. The NHL Ottawa Senators say that they are extremely disappointed and disgusted to see rumors about goaltender Linus Ullmark spread online. Ullmark was granted a leave of absence for personal reasons last month, with Senators General Manager Steve Staios saying all at the time that the starting goaltender had the full support of the organization. Unsubstantiated rumors have spread since across social media, speculating the reasons on Ullmark's absence. On Thursday, though, Staios released an explosive statement condemning those who continue to spread stories and add to the spiraling rumor mill. Well, brother, I'm reading off this off of CTV News, so I'm sorry, this is already printed stuff. I'm just reiterating. Please don't sue me. I am poor. A statement from President of Hockey Operations and General Manager Steve Staios. Our organization was extremely disappointed to read the completely fabricated and false stories that are spreading around social media about our hockey club. Linus is away from our team for personal reasons, and he has the entire organization's support. We ask that people respect his privacy, but clearly that request was not heard by the lowest forms of trolls and sick people who scour the internet. We are disgusted that outside forces are attempting to disrupt our hockey club. The statement will put an end to the ridiculous speculation that has spread online. This is what I'm saying about this. If you didn't say this, I think for the most of Canada that don't pay attention to hockey or Ottawa Senators or like hockey circles, you probably wouldn't have known about it. But you literally did this and now everyone's like, what rumors? What are you talking about? I had never heard that. And I don't know if that's like a grandeur thing where people think they're bigger than they are and that everyone's talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm saying. Fanning the flames sometimes doesn't always help. You could have just stood in silence behind him and just let things fan out. Like, when there is a big thing going online and it's going viral, doing shit like this, I'm sorry, the internet is going to internet. And it's just fanning the flames. You literally just put gasoline on the situation. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. That's your decision. But what I'm saying is people that don't watch internet trends or are very aware what goes on and how internet sleuths do their things or what deep Reddit posts do and what snark pages are, don't understand how there's people that are even employed that do this shit. Imagine what unemployed people are doing. Not being rude, but some of them, it's just like, you got to fill your time. I get it. You're looking for a job. When I was looking for a job, I was fucking on the internet. When I was pushed in my house during the pandemic, I was an internet sleuth and I deep dove things on I probably didn't even need to that weren't for nothing. So, you know, I get it. But this is what the internet does, bro. This is the Streisand effect. I am so sorry. Not do I think that if this does happen, if the woman in the family wants it put out and that's her choice, that's totally up to her. I agree. We shouldn't be sleuthing, but people put stuff out for a reason. It's going to be out there. So by you fanning the flames, and if there is nuggets of this information out there from people just talking about their personal lives, it's going to blow up. Best case, just leave it the fuck alone for a bit and let it settle. Let it settle. Let people speculate. Because they're going to speculate no matter what. And the minute you tell them not to speculate, they're going to dive deeper and they're going to come up with bigger theories. It's just like when you're pulling a thread on a sweater. You know what I mean? Ullmark last played for the Senators on December 27th and was pulled in the second period prior after conceding 4 goals and 14 shots against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The 13-year-old Swede joined the Senators from the Boston Bruins in 2024 in June and signed a 4-year, $33 million contract extension with Ottawa last October, according to Associated Press, and that's in US dollars. He has since been replaced in the Senators roster and was not named in Sweden's squad for the Winter Olympics next month. There's currently no timeline for his return from the Senators. Again, you're just making it worse. I'm sorry. I know that sucks, and I'm really sorry for the family. And this is what happens with the internets, you guys, right? And there's very valid reasons, I'm sure, for people taking breaks. And unfortunately, I don't know the best way to stop speculation, but going online and telling people that it's completely fabricated and completely trolls and that they're wrong, even if there is an inch of truth in this, it's going to make it worse. It is 100% going to make it worse. So it's like, I'm not saying a statement should have been made, but you definitely have to be aware of how you're delivering that and how you're poking the internet trolls, as you say, right? Because like I said, there's probably a chance that these rumors were already online in some deep Reddit thread that maybe you don't understand because you're not on the internet and you're not chronically online, which is great. But even people who aren't chronically online know that you do one thing like that, you pretty much challenge internet sleuths, they're going to take you down. And the thing is that people want to know sometimes, for the most part, who they are supporting and who the bad people are in the world, right? So do we want our money going to, let's say, a creeper, a pedophile? No. And I'm not saying that this is what this guy did, but when you leave it open-ended like that, people want to know. People that are fans, people that aren't, people that just love drama, who knows? But again, this is the Streisand effect. So you have to be very, very careful, in my opinion, when you're doing a public PR statement, trying to de-escalate a situation. You very easily can accidentally hit the acceleration button, as all I'm saying. And like, again, I'm not trying to be this way, but you go to the comments already on this post and it already is talking about the gossip and speculation. So again, by doing that, you just brought it all into a summary in Cole's notes in the comment section, because immediately someone had posted on this post in there that the rumors are the insider news. And again, sure, I am spreading it and you can hate me too, but boy, did you put a platform for this to be put in there. Any person can read internet stuff and people sleuth. So Allmark always comes home from road games and outed guys who cheated on their wives to his wife. Lo and behold, he had a side chick who ended up calling his wife and outing him. Then his wife outed all the players cheating on their wives right before Christmas. I don't know if this is true. Allegedly, rumors. But like I'm saying, here's the thing. If you don't understand how the internet works and how you understand that there are forums across the world, there's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, Snapchat, there is blogs everywhere. It is nearly impossible to stop information from coming out. Okay. So the thing is, unless you know that was absolutely fabricated and you're going to send 10 toes down, that there is no information out there contradicting the claims that you are making, be aware internet sleuths are going to do what they do, especially if they have a vendetta against you, especially if there's somebody on your team that they don't like or they've done something bad. Who knows? Especially if there's like vindictive people, you don't know. You don't know what you're coming up with. You don't know what your team does behind closed doors. You don't know. And I think it's, in a sense, commendable to stand behind your teammates, but I think more research, and this is all alleged, but I'm just saying it. And if it comes out, but unless it's going to a court of law, really, how are you going to prove that? No matter what, there's people that are going to be skeptical and think that that's what happened, especially if there's a lot of people involved. If there was more wives involved, people are going to hear about it because then people are going to break up or things are going to happen. And then the local levels and then the people that affects directly, it's going to ripple out. Someone's going to know someone and, oh yeah, they broke up. This is legit. You know what I mean? Like, we're not back where we were 15, 20 years ago where we can't share information at the click of a button. Yes, a lot of shit can get scrubbed, but that's not from regular people that just don't know how to scrub, right? The Ottawa senator, president, or whatever the fuck ever, I'm sure he's not deep in Reddit threads. He probably doesn't even know what snark pages are, right? So unfortunately, you got to be very careful because, like I said, this stuff probably already started. This shit just doesn't happen overnight, right? This doesn't just, things happen, things leak. People say stuff, people see stuff, people are part of it. There could have been a girl that was super in love with him, allegedly, and anybody, and then they're scorned and then they do these things, or they feel like shit because they found out that they have a wife, right? So it's like, you just got to be very careful and understand that stuff is probably already out there when you're addressing rumors like this, and to address it very carefully and not to put fuel on it. If this is true, I am so sorry for the family, the friends. If we are commenting, I do believe we need to give them privacy. I'm not speculating anymore. I'm just saying those are the rumors, and that literally took me 30 seconds to find that information. You literally brought that so quick to the surface. I'm not trying to blame anybody for this, but this is what the Streisand effect does. So perhaps next time going forward, if you really want them to have privacy, don't address it. Don't bring it to a point where everyone's going to see it. And now it's on people's algorithm, and even hockey, not even hockey players are now looking at this. All Canadians are now looking at this. It got posted in Canadian news. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm really, really sorry if this is true for the family and friends. Completely respecting privacy. I will not talk about this further. It's not my business. Maybe it is just a rumor. Unfortunately, know that it doesn't matter if it is or not, unless it goes to like court and there's massive proof and people are going to post this. There's always going to be people that are skeptical of it. That's just human nature. So you got to be very careful. Anyways, guys, at least I didn't talk about murder this episode, and I really didn't talk about like children getting harmed, which I feel is like a huge, huge, huge thing going on lately in themes and keeping up with Canada, which I don't want to do. So hope to give you a little bit of insight on some other things that are happening in this country. Let's kind of review here. There's Canada Post is totally yes, there's 24 million packages and they caught 5,000 that have drugs in it, but I promise you there's far more than that, just guaranteed. So that's kind of interesting when we talk about the war on drugs. Like, is there a war on drugs? Are we actually trying to stop things like cocaine and fentanyl from going through the mail? Just a thought. Things like weed, things like pharmaceuticals, things that are legal, but things that aren't, question. Interesting. And do you have an experience with that? Have you bought cocaine online? If you're interested in telling me, please let me know in the comments. Then we jumped over to we need to be very not black and white when it comes to temporary foreign workers and immigration here in Canada. Multiple truths can exist at the same time. There's a lot of things working out here. And then lastly, talking about the Streisand effect with the Ottawa Senators and PR teams and just being aware. And like I said, I don't think we need to dive deeper into these rumors. If there is some cheating going on, that's between them. I think I care more like that. Yes, that's important. I obviously don't want to support that, but I don't support hockey people. But they're not doing anything that like needs to put them in prison. And I think that's what the public should have a business to if they're doing something like that. And if the families choose to talk about it and the court of public opinion cancels them, doesn't support them, that's one thing. But I don't we need to sleuth while this family is healing. And if there's something criminal involved, obviously I think that should be brought out. And those are the things I think we should talk about. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you were here this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. One more episode coming next week. And then we're going to gear over to the podcast episodes for a couple months. And then I will be back in the spring. New setup, new girly, new all those things. But thanks for listening, guys, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye.